Today we're going to be making these. They're keto-friendly Pop-Tarts, also known as Tasty Pastries by Legendary Foods. We purchased these online and we're going to try to do some tests to make them at home. And at the end of the day, we're going to find out, should you make them or just buy them? Sarah and I have had this, I think about a couple years ago, we bought some. They're kind of expensive. I'm getting a light and kind of airy outside crust. It's not really sweet, which I like. The inside, there's not that much filling, I would say. It's just a nice kind of even layer of filling. The icing, it just seems like it's just a colorful icing with specks of food coloring in it. I don't think that it's different flavored or anything. It just seems like a pretty simple icing. So each one of these tasty pastries has 180 calories, 5 grams of net carbs, and 20 grams of protein. So my idea to recreate these tasty pastries is to make a Fathead dough and put a homemade strawberry filling on the inside. What do you think? Do you think we should do that? Sure, but I also think that there might be an easier way to do it by using a low-carb flatbread like cut the carb or lavash bread. I really believe that Fathead dough is going to get us this pastry-like texture, and Sarah wants to go the lazy route. And at the end of the day, we're going to find out, is it worth it to make it or buy it? So let's talk about the anatomy of a tasty pastry or a keto Pop-Tart. You have the pastry, which is the outside layer. You have a jam, which is leaking out of the side a little bit, which is probably how ours is going to be too. Let's just be honest. And then on top, we have a frosting. We're going to be making all three of these components, and we're going to start off with the strawberry jam. We're going to have 10 large strawberries and put them in the blender and then blend them until they're nice and smooth. Then we're going to transfer them over to a saucepan, but first I'm going to pass them through a sieve just to make sure that we get any big clumps out of there. So after we strain our strawberries, we're going to put in our water, our lemon juice, our allulose, and our xanthan gum. Make sure to stir it very fast when you're adding in the xanthan gum because it's going to clump up pretty quickly. We're going to reduce this down on the stove for 10 to 15 minutes until it becomes nice and thick. So here is our strawberry jam, or it has greatly reduced and it's very thick. This pan is heavy. I'm going to transfer it now to a bowl and put it in the refrigerator so it can set up and get nice and thick. But before we move on to the next step, we're going to talk about the sponsor of this video, Element. Element is a delicious, tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything that you need and nothing that you don't. That means lots of salt with no sugar. Element contains a science-backed electrolyte ratio of 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium. Element is perfectly formulated for anybody on a ketogenic or low-carb diet. That's because when you go into ketosis for the first time, you shed a lot of water, and inside that water are your electrolytes. This can leave you feeling nauseous, have fatigue, and muscle cramps. Element replenishes your electrolytes so that you feel better. Some of our favorite flavors are citrus salt, raspberry salt, orange salt, and they do have a limited release flavor, grapefruit salt, that we just bought 4 boxes of because we love it so much. Right now, Element is offering our viewers a free sample pack of Element with any purchase. That's 8 single-serving packets free with any order from Element. This is a great way to try all 8 flavors or share some with a salty friend. This deal is only available through our link, and that's drinklmnt.com/ketotwins. Thanks so much to Element for sponsoring another video on our channel. Sponsors help keep our channel going, and thanks to you guys for supporting our sponsors. So I am convinced that Fathead dough is going to be the answer to our pastry layer. Sarah disagrees, right? I don't disagree, I just think that there's an easier way, but okay. So we're gonna go with a simple Fathead dough recipe. We actually made corn dogs with this exact recipe a couple weeks ago, and the recipe is by Keto Focus. We will leave a link to her recipe in the description below. Basically, we're gonna be melting cheese in the microwave. We're gonna be adding together all of our dry ingredients. We're going to be mixing an egg in there somewhere. We're gonna be using the hand mixer with a pastry hook. I've never used a pastry hook on the hand mixer, so I'm excited to see if it's gonna work. Reduce the speed. Do not lift that out of the bowl. Do not lift it out of the bowl. We created an octopus in there. Just get that all combined in there by hand. That's all. The old-fashioned way. I have this great idea to only work with 1/2 at a time. My idea. I'm gonna go pretty thin. Probably like 1/4 of an inch or less. No, I'm not gonna measure it. I'm gonna make it thin enough that it's pliable. Okay, so I'm just gonna cut out our tasty pastry. I'm gonna leave a little bit of a border. Here she is. We're gonna do it again. And then I'm gonna continue on. So here we have our Fathead dough, keto-friendly Pop-Tart pastry shells, and I'm gonna brush the sides with a little bit of egg wash. Fill these up with about 1.5 tablespoons of our strawberry filling. And then in theory, I'm going to cover these and crimp them down to form one cohesive pastry. We're gonna poke the tiniest of holes in our pastries. Not enough that a lot can escape out of, but enough that the steam created on the inside will be able to escape, in theory. With surgeon-like precision, my hand is shaking.
Maybe like a 95-year-old surgeon.
A little bit there, maybe a little bit here. Another hole can't hurt. And another hole here. So I'm going to pop these in the oven for about 15 minutes, and then I'm going to check on them. They might have to go as long as 20 minutes though. Okay, so up next, we're going to be testing a different pastry for our Pop-Tart. This one actually comes from a TikTok that I saw by B Wins. He actually takes Cut the Carb, which we have used here many times on our channel. We actually love this product and use it all the time. If you guys don't want to go through all the trouble of making Fathead dough, this might be a very simple one. And you could probably fill it with a bunch of different things and it would taste really good. So let's get started with this. So here we have the Cut the Carb. I cut it into 4 equal pieces, and now we're going to start constructing our Pop-Tart. Looks like you're using the same amount as I did. I'm going to spread a thin layer. So we're gonna need some water and just lightly go over the edges just to kind of act like glue. But really what you're doing is hydrating the Cut the Carb so that it becomes nice and flexible so that you can actually fold it over and then crimp it down with the fork. We find that Cut the Carb, it is a very dry product, and so hydrating it a little bit will help give it a little bit of elasticity so that you can work with it easier. So I'm gonna hydrate the top one now with just the water. Now we're going to try to fold it over, and then we're going to go and crimp it with a fork just to seal the jam inside. I'm just going to do one side at a time. I just want to point out that I feel like yours look worse than mine at this point. I don't think it's about the look of it. I think it's more about the ease, and that's what I'm going with. Okay, so we have them on our sill mat. I'm just gonna brush them with some egg wash, lightly coat it in some egg wash. This is gonna help with browning. Ooh, shall I look inside and see how they look? Look at that. No, yeah. Don't poke it. No. Look at that. It worked. The vent worked. I saw like little bubbles coming out. Oh my gosh, they're so perfect. Okay, so for our icing, we have 1/4 cup of powdered allulose, and we're gonna put in a couple tablespoons of water and a touch of vanilla. Okay, so here are my trial version of the Pop-Tarts. They're a little more rustic than Emily's, I would say. And I did have to poke a hole midway through because it was starting to puff up. We're gonna let these rest and cool down completely before we try to ice them. Now we're gonna ice our pastries. We have some natural food coloring, and we're just going to try to make them look as close to the original as possible. So I'm going to be dressing mine in the same way. We're going to go on with our white frosting on the top, and then we're going to decorate it a touch. I don't think Emily wants to talk about mine. I will admit that Emily's looks better than mine. So here is the Tasty Pastry by Legendary Foods. Here's my Tasty Pastry. Anyway. I'm gonna try mine. Yeah. Oh yeah. Looks wise, I'm gonna go with we're gonna say that mine beats yours a touch. I think yours looks like a legit pastry dough. Thank you. Which is nice considering, you know, you don't really get that effect really on keto, so it's nice to see it flaked up like a regular pastry dough. Here's the reveal. Definitely a little bit more crumbly on the Legendary Food side, but yours looks very good as well. Let's try Sarah's. Treat mine with respect. I am. How dare you? Okay, let's try Sarah's. It's dry. It's the color of E.T. at the end of the movie. About the beginning of the movie. I don't think it's bad. No. It tastes better than it looks. It's not bad. It's not. It's thinner than the store-bought, but it's pretty good. I like the jam. It's not like overly sweet. It's very fresh strawberry. It's made with fresh strawberries. That's why. Let's taste mine. The jam was not that sweet, but the icing on there helps with it a lot, right. I think. Trying Emily's Fathead dough one. I mean, this is like a dinner. Fathead dough. It's good though.
Yeah, I think it tastes really good.
It tastes like a pastry.
I think that it's a really nice flaky crust. You could use a bunch of different fillings in here. I think it would be really good.
Now we're going to talk about the stats, the breakdown of the cost. My Fathead dough keto-friendly Pop-Tart comes out to about $2.56 a piece. That's all of like the mozzarella and the egg and the strawberry filling and whatnot. Sarah's comes out to $1.62 a piece. This is based on making 6 in a batch, just like the legendary food one. Sarah's comes out to be the cheapest. Okay, let's talk about the carbs. This is just an estimate. It's going to depend on how much filling you put inside, but Sarah's we estimated to have 6 net carbs. Mine estimated to have 7 net carbs, and the Tasty Pastry has 5 net carbs. So, the Tasty Pastry is the most expensive, but it has the least amount of carbs. What are we going to do? Sarah, you gonna make it or buy it?
I think I'd make it.
Which one?
Mine. Just because mine was simpler. You could cheat by using some store-bought sugar-free jam. What about you?
I think I'm going to surprise you a little
Okay.
bit. I'll make it,
Okay.
but I would make yours.
Really? What?
Yeah.
But see, mine doesn't look as good as
Right.
yours. But that might be my technique was not as great.
Sarah's
either.
does not look as pretty as mine or the original, but it was the easiest and it was still pretty good. I'm looking for ease. I'm looking for least amount of effort possible that Sarah's, while dilapidated and falling apart and looking like E.T. at the end of the movie.
Yeah, I really.
It's not the top that looks like E.T. It's the bottom that looks like E.T.
Maybe air frying it would have gotten a crisp on all sides.
I would pick Sarah's ugly one.
Well, thank you. You've really sold it to the audience, I'm sure.
So the consensus is that you should make them. And not only that, but you should make the ugly ones. And if you like this video, you're going to love this one. It's our Make It or Buy It, the Keto Bagel Edition. Click right here and we'll see you over there. Anyway, I'm Emily.
I'm Sarah.
We are the Keto Twins, signing out.